What's going on, you guys? This is DBXMan here, and today I am very excited to bring you this video. So today I am going to be showing you the finished budget Mystic Mine deck. It's been a long time waiting for me to do this video. I just picked up the last cards today. But hopefully you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, and like and comment. Comment, let me know some different things, updates and what you think of the video and what you think of the deck, any adjustments or any of that. So let's get straight into it, because I'm really excited to show these new cards and show my spin on the Mystic Mine deck. So of course, as you all know, Pot of Extravagance is like the main draw spell in Mystic Mine, which allows you to banish 6 random extra deck cards, draw 2 cards face down, and banish 6 extra deck cards face down or draw 2 cards. So it's basically a pot of greed for Mystic Mine deck, because we don't use the extra deck. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you my deck before Toon Chaos is released, to release the Pot of Extravagance reprint. That's going to be way cheaper. This is going to be the deck that's going to keep you from buying super expensive cards until Pot of Extravagance is cheap again. Or cheap. Not cheap again. Cheap. But anyway, start this thing off. I play 4 monsters. 4 monsters in the main deck. First off, we've got 3 Gamma Seal, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. This is the easiest to get. It's comes from Dual Devastator. It's $1.50. This card is the GOAT, obviously. It's only 2,200 attack. What a Kaiju does, if you don't realize, is that you contribute one of your opponent's monsters to put this on their side of the field. And what that does is that for that annoying like Boardload Savage Dragon, Boardload Savage Dragon, or like a Dingirsu, or something that negates a bunch of stuff, like Invoke Mechaba, a bunch of negating monsters. So you pull out your Gamma Seal, you pull out your Gamma Seal Kaiju, you tribute it off and get it off the field, and then you're just giving them a body. And then you have no negates on the board if they don't have any face downs to set your mine out. So this card is the GOAT of the deck. Getting onto my when I get on my extra deck, I'll have some other spice in there too. But this is the main deck right now. So 3 Gamma Seal. You play 1 Planet Pathfinder. This is one of the many ways to get to Mystic Mine. You normal summon it, and you contribute. It says you contribute this card, add 1 field spell from your deck to your hand. So it's just a free way of getting Mystic Mine, if you're not getting it off the bat. So that is also good, because you're also not normal summoning a lot. So if you use your 1 normal summon for the turn on a Planet Pathfinder, you're doing really good, because you don't have any other monsters to normal summon. Then of course we get onto the spells. The heart of the deck, 3 Mystic Mines. If you don't know what Mystic Mine does, it's a field spell, and it says if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monsters, effects, or declare an attack. So what that means for this deck is that you want to control no monsters, or you're giving your opponent monsters, or you're getting rid of their big bodies to put monsters on their board, to to put out your Mystic Mine and have it be there and not leave the field. Because if you guys control the same amount of monsters, it leaves the field. It's part of the effect of the card. So once you guys control both 0 monsters, you both control 1 monster, the same amount of monsters, Mystic Mine leaves the field. So what you want to try to do is build your opponent's board up with a bunch of bodies that don't do anything, and that don't affect you, and then put out your Mystic Mine. They can't use monster effects to further extend their plays and attack for games. So that's the great part about Mystic Mine, is that you just piss off your opponents. I feel like any Mystic Mine player's top goal is to get some reaction out of each game or tournament or whatever.
Oh, Daddy!
Or anyways, back to the video. My brothers are really stupid, and I hate them. Okay, next card. This is the next card to get out to your Mystic Mine, and that's Demise of the Land. It's a quick play spell, and you activate it when your opponent special summons a monster. So every time the special summon monster, you flip this if you don't have Mystic Mine, because you look real good when you have your like good negates out, your traps, and then you've got a set Demise of the Land. So once they special summon their monster and you have Mystic Mine off the field, you just flip this up and you pull it back out. So this makes 7 ways to get out Mystic Mine. So you got 3 Mystic Mine, you got 1 Planet Pathfinder, the monster, and you got 3 Demise of the Land. That is 7 ways to get out Mystic Mine. Then you have, of course, the one of, because it's limited, Terraforming. You get to add 1 field spell from your deck to your hand. 8 ways to get Mystic Mine. Okay. Next we got Card of Demise. It lets you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand, and then at the end of the turn you discard your cards. So let's say you pull a nice hand and you're setting all your cards, and you put out your win conditions, and you put out your Mystic Mine, right? Or let's say you don't have Mystic Mine. You take all the cards out of your hand. Your hand's open. You play your Demise of the Land. Card of Demise. Draw 3 cards. Probably going to be a Mystic Mine. A lot of the times when you have an opening hand, you play your Card of Demise, your Pod Duality, you're going to get Mystic Mine. So this is another way to get Mystic Mine. So that makes, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 ways. Then you got your 3 Pod Dualities, 10, 11, 12 ways to get Mystic Mine on the field. Pod Duality, the only bad part about it is it doesn't let you special summon monsters, but again, if you don't have a Kaiju in your hand, you could first use your Kaiju, get rid of their monster, then play your Pod of Duality. Or wait. No, you can't special summon the turn you activate it. So, let's say you already stacked their board up with the you tribute for your Kaiju, and you get rid of their monsters, and then you have no other summons you have to do. You play Pod Duality, it's a free look at the top 3 cards out in one hand. Shuffle the rest back in your deck. Another way to get some Mystic Mine. So now you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think that's 12 ways, or 11. 11 or 12. So let's say you got 12 ways to get a Mystic Mine. Then you've got... oh my god. Okay. So of course you have to protect your Mystic Mine. So this is where this comes in. I don't even use this card a lot. I wouldn't cut it because there are different cards that'll make this your worst nightmare. Because if you put your Mystic Mine out and then you're protecting it with Field Barrier says, if Mystic Mine you have the same amount of monsters, it gets destroyed. Field Barrier says once you have the same amount of monsters Mystic Mine is on the field, you play this, it doesn't die because of that. So it can't be destroyed. Because Mystic Mine would destroy itself if you have the same amount of monsters. This would keep it from being destroyed. Also, Mystical Space Typhoon and easy spell and trap destruction would not affect your Mystic Mine. They would have to take this off the board for your Mystic Mine to then be destroyed. So you play this card, and if you don't have to use it, you don't really have to use it a lot of the time because a lot of people have outs, like they'll play Cosmic Cyclone and banish your Mystic Mine, and then your Field Barrier stays on the field. So then, like when Mystic Mine leaves the field, Field Barrier doesn't leave the field, and it says field spells cannot be destroyed. Also, a new field card cannot be activated. So once they banish, they can your spell can't be destroyed, but if they banish it, shuffle in the deck, send it to your hand, then Field Barrier stays on the field, and then you can't activate Mystic Mine again. So once you know the ins and outs of your opponent's deck, you can then use Field Barrier, and if you don't, then side it out. It's one of the first cards you could side out of the deck, honestly, because there's other ways of keeping it on the field. Then we have one of the win conditions, and that is Goddess Skuld's Oracle. The funny part about this is that it's a support for a deck called Valkyries. But what it does is it's a continuous spell, And all you do is every turn you shuffle the top 3 cards of their deck. So you're manipulating what they draw, and once you get this, let's see, if you get this in your starting hand and you have negates or you got Mystic Mine, then you are set to win the game. You're just waiting on your draw of that win condition. So this comes in clutch, so clutch. It says when this card is activated, all monsters you control are Valkyrie monsters. You can add one, whatever spell that is from your deck to your hand. Once returned during your main phase, you can look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and if you do, place them on the top of their deck in any order. But you cannot normal special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except fairy monsters. So, of course, the deck's not normal or special summoning a lot, so you're just putting this out and getting a free look at the top 3 cards and put them back in any order. So you don't have to have them draw into those ashes that'll keep you from drawing those Cosmic Cyclones to banish your Mystic Mine, those Mystical Space Typhoons, those Heavy Storm Dusters, all that stuff. This will keep them from drawing their core cards. And if they don't have any spell destruction cards, then they have their core cards of their deck. And with you watching more duels and watching how they do their plays, then you could say, oh, this is one of their core cards, they would need this. So I could put it at the top, bottom of the stack and set it back on top. Or put it at the bottom. And they won't have to draw that card if I'm just playing it that whole turn. I mean, playing it every turn. Then we've got another way to get to Mystic Mine, Left Arm Offering. So what this card says is if you have 2 or more cards in your hand, banish your entire hand and add 1 spell card from your deck to your hand. But the thing is, you cannot set spells or traps until the end turn. So once you set your negates, you pass turn, you got one of these in your hand, and you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand that you don't really need at the time because you've got your negates, your win condition, your Goddess School Oracle. All you need to pull is that Mystic Mine to set up your game. So you pull 2 useless cards, then you play Left Arm Offering, banish your entire hand, then you get your Mystic Mine, play it, and then you have everything built up. That's your board. You got your Mystic Mine board, then you got, if you need to, Field Barrier, you got your negates, you got your win condition, which we'll get to, and then you'll have your Goddess Gold Oracle to shuffle the top 3 cards. So, I mean, place them on the top in any order, so it's just broken. Like, this deck is still valid in the format. Like, I've beat online matches because I can't go to locals right now. I beat I beat Invoke decks. I beat Eldritch decks. That's a really big one. I beat Emancipator decks. I beat a lot of those. I beat a lot of Rogue decks. So this is the perfect Rogue deck. Like, this is able to use in Rogue because Mystic Mine's not meta at all. It's mainly anti-meta. So once you're playing Rogue decks that don't have a lot of core cards or don't have enough support, and you play Mystic Mine, they can't do any of their plays. So that's why Mystic Mine is a really good Rogue deck. And it's still valid in the meta, I think, with all the online plays that I've done. So another card for those cards that are, for those decks that have so many, those decks that rely so much on a couple cards, you have Prohibition. So let's say they keep on drawing Cosmic Cyclone next game. You play your Prohibition and you declare a card name and you say, I declare Cosmic Cyclone. That card is prohibited from the whole game unless they destroy your Prohibition on the field because it's a continuous spell. So as long as this is on the field, they can't play that one card. So if you want to keep drawing, you prohibit their Ash. I've seen his name's not coming to mind. The famous guy Jeff, his Mystic Mine deck. If you look him up, Jeff has a really good deck, and I saw one of his online games, and he played Prohibition first turn. They sent him to go first, and he played Prohibition and prohibited Ash, so that he could get all of his draws off. Of course, he had Pot of Extravagance, but this deck doesn't really need mainly need Pot of Extravagance. It would be nice, but doesn't really need it. Well, anyway, he prohibits Ash so he can go off on his plays because he's not affected by any other hand trap except Ash. So this gets rid of those pesky cards that are ruining your plays. Okay, now we're getting on to the win conditions. You play 3 of this common, It's called Cauldron the Old Man, okay? The cool part about this card is it says when this card is activated, place a counter on it. Once per turn during your standby phase, place another counter on it. For every turn, you place another counter on it. But once you activate it, it gets a counter as well. So you can activate one of these effects once per turn. You could either gain 500 life points for each counter on it, or you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent. So that's where the Mystic Mind burn comes in. So you're either burning your opponent, or you're gaining life points to be able to play all of your negates. Your solemn package. So this card is very broken and way better than what's that card called? Wave Motion Cannon. That used to be the original burn card, but Cauldron lets you gain life points and it kills your opponent way faster than what the Wave Motion Cannon would be doing. Then you have your, one of your final win conditions, Final Countdown. You pay 2,000 life points, and in 20 turns you win the game. So a lot of people don't negate this because they think that they're going to win in within 20 turns. But I mean, if you got all of your negates on board, you got your Mystic Mind, and you've got ways to protect it, and you've taken care of all their Cosmic Cyclones and pesky cards, you have your Final Countdown at the start of the turn, and then of course back and forth. It's 2 turns. So you got your turn, his turn, that's 2 turns. Your turn 3, his turn 4, your turn 5. And it just keeps going. So you get 20, and you'd be like, hey, Final Countdown effect. Good game. That's what this card is so good for. Because a lot of times, you'll be sitting there drawing your cards because you have no way of shuffling your deck. Other than like Pot of Duality or something. You'll be drawing your deck. Brick. Okay. Final Countdown for every turn that I'm drawing a brick. Okay, brick. Of course your deck's not going to be bricking the whole time, but that's going to be cards that are useless. You're wanting to get to your win condition. You would rather get to Mystic Mind before your win condition because you could just stall the game until you get your win condition. But while you're waiting to get your win condition, if you can't get your win condition in time, you play Final Countdown. And for all the turns that you're not getting your win condition, this is still going off, and after 20 turns, even if you don't get your win condition, this goes off and you win the game. It's way better than Mystic Mind Exodia. I don't get Mystic Mind Exodia. I think it's not good for the deck to be playing Exodia. It's interesting. Like, I think that if people put enough time into it, it could be good. But right now, like, Exodia is just going to be a brick in your hand. You much rather would have something like Final Countdown in your deck, or Cauldron the Old Man being better win conditions. So playing Mystic Mind Exodia is cool, but would it be good against meta is the thing. So that's the thing. Another card that goes really good against meta. This is the perfect hand trap. If you open this in your opening hand, you win the game automatically, honestly. Because if you're going second most of the time, because you're wanting to get that extra draw on your second turn. So you open Dark Ruler No More and you open your Mystic Mind. You open a win condition. You want to Dark Ruler No More for all those stupid like Pendulum and Borreload Savage Dragon and those stupid negates on the board with their monster effects. You play Dark Ruler No More. Your opponent, they take no damage for the turn, but neither player can activate monster effects in response to this, so they can't negate it with their monster effects. So once you play it, they don't usually have a back row, they just have a bunch of monsters effects that negate. So you're like, okay, Dark Ruler No More. You're like, okay. The Graveyard. Mystic Mind. Okay. And then, of course, if you wanted to, you can, Kaiju off one of their annoying monsters that's going to negate something next turn. So, okay, Kaiju. Get rid of that. Play your win condition. Gets a counter. Of course, you can't burn them, but you burn them next turn for 600 because it's still getting that counter for when it's activated. Then you set your negates and you're like, okay, go ahead. What are you gonna do? This is so good opening it. That's why I play 3 of it. It's a kind of expensive card, most definitely. It cost me $15 when I bought it. Now, I pulled a Dark Ruler No More from a 2019 gold, or is it 2018? 2018-2019 Gold Sarcophagus tin. And it's one of the promos. So, I mean, if you want to, go ahead and buy a bunch of Gold Sarcophagus tins. Be my guest. But I mean, if you just want to get that one card, just buy it for 15 bucks. I mean, it's not going to be the worst thing. So this is probably the most expensive card in your deck, because this only has one print. So Dark Ruler No More, so good for your deck. Okay, next we move on to the traps. And your last and final way to get to Mystic Mine is your Metaverse. It lets you take one field spell from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. This card can get ashed. Demise of the land, when your opponent special summons a monster, you automatically activate Mystic Mine. So it's not adding it to your hand, therefore it cannot be ashed. This includes in the effect text that you can either add it to your hand. Even if you're going to activate it, it includes it in the card's text, so it can be ashed. But your Demise of the land cannot. So Metaverse is also good, but it's limited. So because there used to be a Lilith play where you say, okay, normal summon Lilith, activate her effect, tribute her, then you would pull. It would be your opponent would choose one of 3 normal traps, and once they choose one, they add it to your hand. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out 3 random Metaverses. Okay, pick which one. Just a free Mystic Mine. So now that my bad. So that card's Metaverse is limited now. So now you can't do that play. Of course, Lilith's found a bit limited, but there's also some cool plays you can do with Lilith with things like Dark Sacrifice, where it's just a free negate and things like that. That's also good. Another card that used to be expensive until Secret Slayers and newer sets reprinted, Solemn Judgment. When a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap would be activated, pay half your life points, negate it, and destroy it. So once they, let's say Halka-Fibrax, it's like Crystron Halka-Fibrax, or Needle Fiber as they say. Once they summon that, you activate your Solemn Judgment, and it prevents them from getting a free Warlord Savage. This card comes in so clutch, so clutch. Just when they would activate a card that would basically set them up for game, and you knowing that, because you watch the meta duels and things like that, you activate your Solemn Judgment, negate and destroy. Negate it. Get off the field. You're not getting rid of Mystic Mine. You're not gonna get rid of my Mystic Mine and attack me for game. It's not happening. Another good counter trap is 3 Dark Bribe. Your opponent activates a spell or trap. You negate it with Dark Bribe. They get to draw one, but you get rid of that stupid spell that's going to destroy your cards, like Set Rotation. I don't know if you've played a Sky Striker deck before, but they play Set Rotation. They play, and you have Field Barrier on the field. They can play Set Rotation, activate 2 different field spells from their deck. So they're going to put either a Mystic Mine on your side of the field, or going to put one of their Sky Striker field spells on your side of the field. Set theirs on their side of the field. They both can't be activated, but it's no problem for them. It's just an extender. They don't really need it as much. So now you're just locked down. You can't activate another field spell because field barrier's on the field. So that's why field barrier can be bad sometimes, is because there's lockouts that can happen with it. So of course have 3 of it in your deck, but in those cases you may want to have to side out some of them to put in some good side deck cards that I have. So Dark Bribe is really good for those stupid spell or traps. It's going to get them set up for game. And then lastly, the 40th card, I play 1 Solemn Strike in my main deck, and that's because it's just an extra Solemn. When a monster be special summoned or an effect is activated, pay 1,500 life points, negate and destroy. So if Warlord Savage Dragon is going to negate something, you play your Solemn Strike. You activate it last turn. Bam, get that out of the field. Mechaba activates its effect. Okay, counter. Solemn Strike, and just get off their field. Like, I don't need all those negates in my life. Okay, so now that you see how broken the main deck is, here's the side deck that really comes in handy. First, we play, to finish off the Kaiju package, we play Doggoran, the Mad Flame Kaiju. This is one of the strong, one of the biggest attack power Kaijus. If you need more Kaijus in your deck, you side your useless cards in there, side these in, and you know, if you want to see a Kaiju in your opening hand, you want to side out for these so that you can get your Kaijus and get rid of their stupid monsters. Okay, so more Kaijus, awesome. And also, if they have a Kaiju on their side of the field, you summon a Gamma Seal at their side of the field. If you didn't know how Kaijus work, once they have a Kaiju on their field, you can special summon a Kaiju from your hand, so you both control one. So they have a Gamma Seal, you have a Doggeran, you attack in their Gamma Seal, and you get rid of their monster. So now their board's wiped. Activate Mystic Mine. Broken. Next we play 3 Silent Wabi. I don't play this in the main deck because I don't see it come up a lot as much. Silent Wabi, it's so beautiful, it's a premium gold card. Well, anyway, Silent Wabi is good because during your main phase you can special summon to your opponent's side of the field, it's another body on their side of the field. You gain 2,000 life points, your opponent draws 1. Okay, that's fine. I'll just gain 2,000 so I can activate my final countdown and get rid of those 2,000 life points, so in 20 turns I win the game. This is just one of those other good cards where you put a body on their side of the field and then win the game. Also, this card has another effect if Mystic Mine's on the field. The hand size limit of this card's controller becomes 3. So if your Mystic Mine's not on the field to negate its own effect, then you have Silent Wabi triggering at the end of their turn to limit their hand size all the way down to 3 cards, so then they can't make all of their good plays with a full hand of cards. So Silent Wabi is very good, but I don't main deck it unless the Kaiju seems bad. So if they're not summoning enough monsters, I'm gonna side out my Kaijus and put in my Silent Wabis, or else I would main deck Silent Wabi. But with decks these days, I'm going second. I'm going to get a Kaiju. Next, another body to put on their field. 3 Lava Golem. Jeff uses this in his deck. I like to use in mine. You tribute 2 of their monsters on their side of the field. You summon this guy. He's 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense, so he is a big body, but for every their standby phase, it inflicts 1,000 damage to the controller of that card, which would be them. So they lose 1,000 life points every turn, every one of their turns. So that's also good if you don't have Mystic Mine on the field negating things. In the side deck, we also play the 3rd copy of Prohibition, just in case you're not seeing it enough. I see it way too much, so I limited it to 2. So yeah. Then we play 2 Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell. A lot of Mystic Mine decks play this card at 3. And what it does is when a spell card is activated, discard 1 spell card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And your opponent cannot activate spell cards of that same name, so they can't activate that spell anymore. Activate Cosmic Cyclone, okay. Curse Seal, discard 1 spell. They can't play Cosmic Cyclone for the rest of the turn, the rest of the duel. It's very good. Don't get me wrong, it's very good. I'm thinking about taking out the Prohibitions and putting in the Curse Seals. But then there's also that factor, like, you could be using all of your spells in your turn to get to your Mystic Mine, and then you don't have any spells to negate it with, so this is just a dead card. So that's the other downside about it. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to keep it as it is and side these in if Prohibition's not doing enough or I'm seeing too many spells in my hand. So then I could play Curse Seal and have a spell card to discard its cost. So Curse Seal is very good. But I wouldn't play it at 3 because it's also a brick. Sometimes it can't get you to your good cards. For the last 2 of 3 cards, I play 2 Solemn Judgment. The last 2 Solemn Strikes. If you're needing more negates and you're not seeing your Solemns enough, I side these in. But a lot of the time, you're going to see a Solemn Judgment or a Solemn Strike in your game. And then last but not least, the last card in the deck, or the side deck for 15, I think. Let me make sure I'm right. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep. The 15th card in your side deck is going to be a Reckless Greed. Now, you can put in anything in your side deck, whether it be hand traps. Effect Veiler is very good for going second. Ash Blossom is really good for going second. Just things like that. I just put this in because just in case if I don't have enough draw power in the deck, I could side out one of my useless cards and put in Reckless Greed, and it lets me draw 2 cards and skip my next 2 draw phases, which is pretty decent. So this is just another one of those draw cards if you're not getting your Mystic Mine as quick. But yeah, that is the long-awaited Mystic Mine deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you were looking into this deck, I would highly recommend playing online with it first, so you get a feel for it. I feel like that goes for any deck, is just to get a feel for the deck and how it works. And if it's not going well for you, then you move on to a different deck if it's not good for the meta. But this card's been very good for me. I've been, like winning like maybe 80% of the time. A lot of times I get waxed by first turn combo decks or second turn combo decks or whatever, or they make me go first a lot of the time or something like that. But usually you're going second because they want to go first to set up their board. But then you have cards like Dark Ruler No More, Prohibition, just cards like that to negate all their follow-up cards. But anyway, that's gonna be it. I also put these tokens in my deck box just in case someone plays in a beer or something, or plays scapegoats. I don't know. Of course, no one's gonna play in a beer on you because you're not special summoning five or more monsters. So, whatever. But that's gonna be it for this deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to comment any changes you would make to this deck, or any recommendations or suggestions you have for this deck. I'm open to new things and building my deck better than it should. But hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. I want to upload more, and I want to figure out how to record audio record video on my desktop so I can do duels with you with this awesome Mystic Mind deck, and maybe even try my budget Dark Magician deck so I can give you budget alternative decks. But thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe and comment what you want to see next and different suggestions for the deck. Enjoy my outro, and I'll see you guys next time. This is DBXMan signing out.